Probably was illegal having a NASCAR chassis and a body on it. I was lucky enough to not get arrested. So I get back from SEMA, and every penny I have is invested in a NAS charger. It was cool. It did everything I dreamed. I met Cody Walker. I met, Sean Lee. I met everyone I'd ever dreamed of. I drove it across America. I drove it to SEMA. It was the only car at SEMA that was half cleaned. I was sponsored by Maguire's, right? And I got there and the car was dirty, covered in salt, snow, everything. Like it had driven 1,500 miles through everything. And I was like, I got to clean it, right? So when I was filming with Ed Bolian in Atlanta, my dad and a team got some masking tape and masking taped half the car and detailed perfectly half the car. So it's the only car that's ever been to SEMA that's been half detailed, right? So Mike Musto did a YouTube video saying, oh my God, did anyone see that half detailed NAS charger that drove to SEMA? And I was like basically shouting about SEMA's supposed to be about the product. It's supposed to be about the integration of the products on the cars on display. Most of those cars don't even have drive shafts or exhaust or anything on them. They're just showpieces. I drove my car 1,500 miles with no heat, no wipers, nothing. 1,500 miles, nearly got arrested, 6 inches of snow, minus 13 degrees, and I wanted to prove that to the world. So detailing half of it was what that was about. When I got it back, I kind of ticked all my boxes. I took my dad with me. If he's not around in a few years, I ticked all the boxes. I had the most amazing dream of my life. Most people get to drive to the car show in their local area once a month. I get to drive my dad across America in a car I built. Like that ticks it all, When I got back, there's a museum curator in Europe that contacted me. How much is it? It was like £40,000, what I had in it. You know what? It wasn't a real Dodge Charger. It wasn't a NASCAR. It probably was illegal having a NASCAR chassis and a body on it. I was lucky enough to not get arrested. I dumped it for what it had in me, and my name is on a wall in a museum at 33 years old, or 30 years old I was, My name is on the wall in a museum. Like, that's as cool as it gets, My name is in stone, as they say. And I got back and a gentleman contacted me who owns a production company in Spain, and they basically do the same sort of thing as Fast and Furious Live, but integrate lots of different movies, lots of different films and genres so that you don't get bored, You go see Fast and Furious Live, you kind of got to be into Fast and Furious cars, really. It's a very limited market. So he said, is a NAS charger available? I said, yeah, I sold it to a guy in Europe. They phoned him and said, no, don't want to sell it. It's never for sale. If anyone's buying it, Sam can buy it back if we're ever bored of it. Well, would you build us one? I was like, yeah, £65,000. Cool, can you do that? I was like, shit, it should have been 100. There's got to be a way that I should have been ready for that, If there's anything I've learned from Ed, it's shoot for the stars and hit the clouds on the way down. There's a middle ground there. And I definitely thought I was punching above my weight asking for 65. And, 3 months we built it. And there was a little bit of a plot twist, because in England, Generation 2 Dodge Chargers aren't readily available. They're not sat down someone's driveway and you're hoping you're going to find one, okay? And it's very limited as well. So Generation 2 Dodge Charger, for people out there, 68's a bullet car, big open mouth. 69's a General Lee, so you've got the V in the middle, so you've got 2 separate grills. And a 70's got this big metal ugly grill around the outside of it, which people either love or hate. For my love of Fast and Furious, that was the one for me. So I got to build another one. Basically, I know I can get a NASCAR for like 10, 15 grand. That's easy. But where can I get a 70 Charger? One pops up in the Netherlands, right? And I'm like, cool, click at it. So do me a walk around video and show me everything. So he meticulously and very cleverly did a video. Oh, here's the rear quarters. Here's the doors. Here's the front grille. And basically showed me all the bits that were okay, right? So I wired the guy some money. I needed to get on the build quick. If there's any way I'm going to make a 3-month deadline, I'm going to need a car pretty quick, right? About a week later, Europe and England goes into lockdown, big time, right? We're not allowed to go Europe. Europe's not allowed to come here. Business only, transport, right? So in the back of a lorry, the worst Dodge Charger I've ever seen. I'm sure there are wrecked General Lees out there from the movie that are in better condition. I can assure you, right? Travis Bell is out there going, mate, I can tell you that is a good car compared to what he's found in the hedges. But it turned up. The grill is like, that's $1,000 bent. The doors are so rusty that when I opened the passenger door, the A-pillar fell off and the door fell down on the floor. The sills were non-existent. The floors I wasn't bothered about. I'm going to throw a NASCAR in it. I don't care. Rear quarters, rotten. Rear valances, rotten. Rear panel, rotten. Rear lights, smashed. Headlights, missing. Windshield, broken. Chrome trims, everything I need for the small details that in the end are really going to cost me the money are missing. And I paid a staggering $15,000. Most people think $15,000 for a Gen 2 charger isn't bad. Well, I can assure you, mate, this wasn't a Gen 2 charger. This was a box of parts that it felt like everyone had built their dream car and this was all the bits that were left over thrown together. It was horrendous. I got very upset with the gentleman. I said, I'm bringing it back. And he went, no, I don't accept returns. I went, no worries. Put the phone down. I loaded this absolute box of awfulness on a trailer. And I drove 22 hours with my two best buddies to Austria, knocked the gentleman's door, because his address was readily available. His company address was his home address. Knocked the door and this very polite man came out, can I help you? I said, yeah, I'm Sam Hard from England. You just delivered me a Generation 2 charger 2 days ago. What are you doing here? Told you I'm bringing it back. There's a couple of things in life that you get known for, and it's doing what you say is one of them. Jumped in that car, drove 22 hours, had a few, Belgian beers on the way. You got to invest in the locals, And you got to admit, this is the middle of lockdown, right? We were going to gas stations and filling up, right? They wouldn't even turn the gas pumps on. They're like, you got English plates, you're not allowed in this country. You are physically not allowed in, right? I printed documents off that said that he'd bought the car from me as opposed to selling it to me. So it was an invoice. All I did was I copied and pasted the payee to the buyer and swapped them around and took it back. So for me, I snuck in the worst Dodge Charger into Europe in a covert manner, and we were quite literally the only British tourists in Europe. It was unbelievable. All the pubs were shut. All the restaurants were shut. The roads were shut. Like, it was unbelievable. The gas stations, you had to get pre-authorization. Normally, you can put your card in and get your gas. You had to go in, show you had like your, you weren't infected, that kind of stuff. You had to have a face mask on. You had to wear gloves. It was ridiculous. It was unbelievable. So we snuck the car in through Dover, under the Channel Ferry, in the train going under. We're really worried that we just left England. That's the easy bit. Anyone can get out of England. It's getting in England that's the problem, or getting into Europe. We get to the other end, and there's these security guys, and they're going crazy. They're checking the car. What is this piece of shit? And going crazy, looking over the car, going mad. What are you smuggling? It's like, we're bringing the car. We're a company. I'm a registered business. We're taking the car to its new owner. There's the document. There's this, and handed it over. After about an hour and 45 minutes of interrogating us all individually. So we all had to be on the same page. Basically, we got in the car and we went. We dropped it off, paid another like $5,000 to the guy, and I got a just as crap Dodge Charger. So dents in every panel, but you know what? The quarter panels were rebuildable. The doors were rusty, but I can rebuild panel work. I don't mind that. The bonnet was creased. I can rebuild that. All the stuff was there. Chrome trims around the windshield. You know what? I can buy a windshield. That's not a problem. But to build a car for a company is a different thing to building a car for yourself, okay? I had 8-inch Canon speakers behind my head listening to Toby Keith and Tim McGraw just to get me by. This car wasn't about that. This car was to make it look like a real Fast and the Furious Dodge Charger. So I put American Racing 5-spoke alloy wheels on it like the movie car had. I bought a real $2,000 B&M supercharger. The vanes were slightly worn, so they had scoring on them. Basically, I completely gutted them, made a cradle so it fitted over the top of the engine, so that basically, unlike the first NAS Charger where you lifted the hood up and the supercharger and its electric motors spun when you lifted it up and it was comical, this one here, you lifted the bonnet up and the supercharger stayed attached to the engine. A couple of bolts and a couple of clips, it was removable. So I kind of did it as good as I ever could, if that makes sense. So I built an iconic American movie muscle car with the power of a NASCAR, but with the finesse, if that makes sense, the little details that really made the difference. The first NAS Charger was about proving it was a NASCAR. I still had the nets on the inside of the doors. This car was a bit more understated. I wrapped the whole roll cage in black, so it wasn't I'm a NASCAR, it's I'm a roll cage and you can see it if you're looking for it. I used the original NASCAR seats. I didn't go for anything bucket seat related or anything like that. And we just used the original manual transmission and just elongated the chassis 11 inches, longer prop shaft, bolted all back together, and it was quite literally amazing. So they've put together one of the biggest collections of stunt cars. So they've got the, I think it's called the Mona Lisa, which is the SX200 or the SX200. It's a Nissan Silvia based car that I believe Han had, that Sean smashed up in Tokyo Drift. They've got that with an LS in it. They've got the flip car, the original car with the 4-wheel steer, which is really cool. They've got the police cars, which you press the button and the front and rear bumpers just crumpled in and smoke machines actuated, so that basically what you do is the car would go like that and there'd be a big puff of smoke, and then when the crowd saw the smoke clear, all the bonnet would be bent up and all these amazing rams and stuff, like a little bit like Christine back in the day. The 58 Plymouth Fury was one of the most amazing American car films of the world. Hydraulic rams that basically pulled that car in and destroyed it internally, so that when they reversed the video, it looked like the car was being repaired, right? Well, this actual Dodge Charger police car was built in the same way, but it was designed by air rams. So you press a button and the bonnet that looked perfect was actually made out of rubber and bent up and went like that. The bumper itself, the metal bull bar on the front, broke and went down to one side, the wing would come up, and even they had the heist car, the Honda Civic, right? The Honda Civic heist car, when someone pretended to drive in the back of it, the rubber boot, which was all designed in like foam, crumpled in, and the parcel shelf went up and the glass shattered in the back window. It was unbelievable, the amount of hard work that went into these cars. And I believe they're putting a production on in Europe, which will be like in Marbella in Spain, and it'll be traveling all around Europe for people to, whether you're a Bullet guy or a Fast and the Furious or a General Eye or an Ecto-1 Ghostbuster guy. They have everything for you, which I think that's what Fast and the Furious Live really missed, you know?
We'd like to thank the Ticket Clinic for supporting VINwiki this month. When you get a ticket, no matter where it happens, you're risking points on your license, costly fines, insurance premium increases, and risks of suspension or jail time. So it's more important than ever to have great representation. The Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm that can help you fight a ticket no matter where you get it. It's easier than ever to start a relationship with them. You'll just take your ticket, snap a picture of it, and text that picture to 305-305. You can also reach them at the link in the description below to thank them for their support of VINwiki and fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.